Great morning, everyone. It is a Monday morning, a new week, and the sun is shining again today. So if that helps, great. So day 48 of finding calm in the storm. Been a cool journey. 48, I was like, what baseball player, we're number 48? I don't know that number. And so it was kind of a clear one, though, once I looked. Torrey Hunter, right? Torrey Hunter was a great player. He played, most of my memories of him as a Minnesota Twin. Lots of highlights of him making amazing catches in the outfield. So check out some Torrey Hunter videos. If you're a baseball person, you need to get your baseball fix, then you can do that. So 48 days of finding calm in the storm. And today I titled this, The Last Straw, right? The Last Straw. So I think it's an amazing concept, and we talk about it. We all know what that means whenever I say the last straw, right? It's the last straw. So what are we saying? You know, the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Finally, the last straw we put on there, and we broke the camel's back. And I like to think of this as the titration principle, right? The titration principle. So did you ever watch anybody check their pool chemicals, where they scoop up the pool water, and then they have a titrate, and they drip it in one at a time until they get to the one where they drop it and the color changes, and then they know, okay, I can go look at the chart and see exactly where my chemicals are. And sometimes we can look at that and we can say, which drop did that? And you can say, well, the last drop did it. Or we could say the last straw. Right? That was the last straw. Which one did it? The last straw. But when we critically think about this, every straw mattered, right? When we critically think about it, every straw mattered, not just the one that broke the camel's back. When we think about the concept of titration of the water and changing the color, every drop mattered, not just the last drop, right? And so often we can forget that while we use sayings like the last straw, we realize that every straw mattered. And every straw matters in a positive way or in a negative way, right? So even in this situation where we're working to find calm in the storm, right? You know, maybe this is just the straw that broke the camel's back, but maybe there were a whole lot of other straws already happening, and we don't want to think about those. We just want to think about the last thing that happened, right? The last thing that happened was, right? So, you know, like me, many of you know I'm a chiropractor, so often, you know, people will bend over to tie their shoe and their back will go out, right? And we could blame it on that. We could say, well, it was bending over to pick up the shoe, but I'm guessing they've bent over and picked up shoes thousands of times in their life. What was different about that time, right? So that was the last straw, right? Something was already happening in there. So how do we use this principle in our life to find calm in the storm and to create the life we want, right? So we want to focus on the life we want, not the one we want to avoid. And in the process of that, the point of me talking about this today is to say, consistently accumulating and doing the right things over and over and over again produces the results. I have a saying that I use all the time that says, when we focus on results, nothing changes. When we focus on change, we get results, right? So what does that mean? That means we have to focus on the process, right? What habits, behaviors do I want to change? What do I want to create? What do I want to create in my health? What do I want to create in my relationships? What do I want to create in my finances? What do I want to create in all of those areas of my life? And it's not just going to be one thing. It's not going to be one thing that gets us there, right? You know, most people don't grow their bank account by putting all the money in one day. They do it by consistently building them up. But how about this? We use the phrase, the straw that broke the camel's back, or the last straw, in a negative way typically. What if we use that in a positive way? Right? Because there's a tipping point the other way too, that when I consistently do it over and over and over again, I hit a tipping point where it was the last straw that tips me in a positive direction toward what I want, right? You know, you can do this with your health. You can do this with your finances. You can do this with your relationships. You continue to add straws. You continue to drip the titrate into there until you hit a point where the color changes. And the color changed in there, not from the last drop, but from the accumulation of all the drops. So we can use this principle, the last straw, right? It doesn't have to be a negative thing. See, we tend to think about that, you know, when we use that phrase, right? The straw that broke the camel's back, or that was the last straw. We use it typically in a negative way. What if we shifted our thinking on that and pivoted around that idea and said, no, I'm going to look at that from the other side, and I'm going to say, yeah, that principle is true, that the accumulation of actions produce results, and I want to create it in the other way. I want to create it in a positive way where I keep laying straws on there toward what I want until when I get there, it happens, right? I keep dripping in the right things consistently day after day. And what does that help you do? How does that help us find calm in the storm? Because we're taking action on things each day that are moving us toward what we want, not what we want to avoid, right? We have to shift out of this problem-solving mentality where that's all we do is just solve problems, right? I wake up every day and I solve problems, and shift, right? And pivot around that idea into the idea that I am creating what I want. So I'm waking up today and I'm focusing on, what do I want to create? Where do I want to go? What do I want that to look like? So then what do today's action steps need to look like for that to happen? I'm not worried about solving problems. I just keep creating what I want, and the problems start to disappear. And when they do pop up, I'm just in better shape to deal with it, right? Something will happen today. Something will happen in the process of today. I'll make a decision, we'll solve it, we'll move on, that'll be fine. But my focus of my day is on what actions create what I want. So have fun shifting your perspective of this idea of the last straw, and think about it in a way that it's the last straw that tipped you over into the success and the abundance and the health and the well-being that you always wanted. And when you're in action, working toward creating what you want, you will find calm in the storm. Have a great day, guys.